Hello everyone, my name is Huyền and today I'm very happy to become your tour guide today. But first I want to give you some information about the Vietnamese France. And the first we will summarize the domestic and international historical background leading to the French invasions and colonization of Vietnam. The internal historical background is this area was marked by the revolutions and the rise of industrialization, uh, burgeoning nationalism, and influential intellectual development that shaped the modern Europe. And during this time, the Industrial Revolution gained momentum, leading to the growth of factories, urbanization, and the significant changes in labor practice and social structure. The development of capitalism led to an increased demand for resources, markets, labor. European powers sought to expand their territories and exert controls of foreign lands, which led to the establishment of the colonial empire. And the domestic historical background is the Vietnamese feudalism and was in crisis and was declined, and the Ming successor over 40 years would be assailed by serious problems that ultimately decimate the Vietnamese state. In the 30 reign showed a significant decrease in Catholic persecution, with the population growing fast from 6 million to 10 million in 1850. The attempt of agricultural self-sufficiency were proving unworkable, and while the country's isolationist policy would damage the the economy, and the country's internal strength was weak in all aspects. And what is the second, what did Vietnamese colonists do in Vietnam and to the Vietnamese people? How did the actions affect the Vietnam society and Vietnamese people? Is that in terms of economics, the French developed infrastructures, including roads, railways, and ports to facilitate the extraction and export of resources. Right, they exploited Vietnam natural resources, forces our labor, they exploited Vietnam natural resources such as rubbers, coal, and rice, transforming the local economy to serve the French interests. And in terms of education, the French introduced Western education system in Vietnam and established schools that taught French literature, science, philosophy. And this education system created a small but significant class of Vietnam intellectuals who were exposed to the global revolutionary idea, which later influenced the rise of the nationalist movement. However, the access of education was limited to a select few, ensuring the masses remained uneducated and thus easier to control. And the French encouraged to the spread the Romanized Vietnamese script and demolish traditional school and eliminate the Confucian imperial examination system of the federal courts. And in terms of cultures and society, they facilitate the development of Christianity, implements discriminatory religious policy, creating deep divisions among religious communities within the nations. The French also introduced journalism to Vietnam, but turned into a tool of colonial propaganda. And a number of modern style urban centers were built, along with various infrastructure projects such as transportation works, factories, cinemas, exhibition halls to showcase the civilization of Greater France. And urban areas like Hanoi, Saigon, and saw significant changes in development. And 3 bravely presents the 1954 Geneva Conference, the background signatories provision, what countries decided to divide Vietnam at the 17th parallel. The complete victory of Dien Bien Phu campaign shattered the highest and final military effort of the French colonialists and support of American imperialism, and it changed the course of the war and created a solid military foundation for the diplomatic struggle and the resistance wars. And for the French, the war aggressions in Indochina has become heavy economic and social burden on France, and they want to gain support from the United States to implement the Nava military plan, hoping to find an honorable way out. However, these final efforts failed after the fall of Dien Bien Phu battle. In the international, the aspiration of people around the world was for peace. And in January of 1954, the foreign minister of the Soviet Union, the United States, the United Kingdom, and France met in Berlin and agreed to convene an international conference to resolve the division of Korea and to end war, restoring peace in Indochina. The signatories, the agreement was signed by Democratic Republic of Vietnam, France, and the People's Republic of China, Soviet Union, and the United Kingdom. These countries decided to Vietnam at the 17th parallel, and the provision, the Geneva's Accord was signed on the morning of 21 July 1954, a day later France's 30-day deadline. The final provision of the Accords includes the French Union forced to regroup the south and the line of Vietnam to the north, a provisional military demarcation line running approximately along the 17th parallel on other side of which the forces of two parties shall be regrouped and after their withdrawal, and etc. And therefore, what countries supported Vietnam during the struggle against France? A lot of countries like Myanmar is among the first country to establish friendship ties with Democratic Republic of Vietnam. Thailand also gave early effective support to Vietnam after China officially established diplomatic relations with the Democratic Republic of Vietnam on January 18 and 1955, the Soviet Union and other socialist countries in turn recognized and formed the safe ties with countries, and the Soviet Union gave Vietnam a number of items of strategically military and economic significance in aid. And the assistance from the French Communist Party and French people was also significant. After the U.S. French people because of what they did during the colonization in Vietnam. No, this is only the history in the parts. But nowadays, Vietnam and France as a comprehensive strategic partnership. And to talk about the Hua Lo prison, I want to give you some information about the in general introduction of Hua Lo prison, the construction and the historical background that led to the construction of the prison, the structure of the prison, functions of the jail in different periods to this day. The name Hua Lo commonly translated as fairy furnace or even household, and also means stove. The name originated from the street name for Hua Lo. Due to the concentration of stores selling wood stove and coal-fired stove along the street in pre-colonial times. And in 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 1899, although Hua Lo prison had not been fully completed, it was already put into use due to the French colonial authorities' mass arrest of patriotic individuals resisting the rule. And in the past, Hua Lo was one of the biggest and solid prison in Indochina, covering an area of the 12,000 square meters with outer and inner areas. From the first look, the construction of Hua Lo prison was include 4 meters high stone walls, 0.5 meter thickness, with the piece of broken glass and barbed wire with a high voltage electricity as a reinforcer. And there is a complex with room in the prison, including a houses of forwarding, a house used as a hospital, 7 house for detained and other accused prisoner, a workshop for making iron, textile, leather products, and for sale for dangerous and rules violate prisoners. The most highlight of our prison is guillotine, which was designed from 2 to 4 meter height by wooden columns with a large blade held by latches at above and 2 circular pieces of board combined to a perfect circle at under to keep the head of dead prisoner ahead. Inside Hua Lo prison, there's also dangerous place at cow catchers and considered as the health, extremely dark, trample, and allies to imprison those who have opposed behaviors or dangerous offenders. It is really nightmare with all prisoners. And the functions over different periods that in the French colonial period actually is what intended to hold Vietnamese prisoners, and in the Vietnam War period after the River Card, Hua Lo prison was also used to detain American pilots captured during the air raids over the north of Vietnam. And the post-war and the modern periods is following the end of Vietnam War, Hua Lo road as a prison diminishes. Most of the prison was demolished in the mid of 1990, and the site now contains a complex of 2 high-rise buildings called Hanoi Towers and Hanoi Center Tower. Other parts have been converted into a commercial complex retaining the original French colonial walls. Today, Hua Lo prison serves as a historical museum offering visitors a window into Vietnamese colonial past, the resilience of its political prisoners, and the complex legacy of Vietnam War. And how were Vietnamese political prisoner treated in Hua Lo prison? In some key aspect of prison life is served overcrowding, built for 1415 but housed over 2,000 inmates. It is poor ventilation and limited natural light, cells akin to dungeons. And inadequate food and sanitation leading to malnutrition and disease. And what were differences between how the French treated Vietnam political prisoner and Vietnam treated Americans prisoner of war? During the war, despite the country's difficult economic conditions, the Vietnamese government provided the best possible living conditions to ensure that American pilots had a stable life while in detention. And do you believe in all information presented at Hua Lo prison give reasons to support your answer? No, just one perspective from Vietnamese government. So it showed that so what needs to be shown and hide what is necessary to conceal. For example, the treatment of American may be selectively presented, highlighting acts of kindness while leaving out others less favorable actions.